Hey guys, it's Angelo, and today we'll be having a look at the Discipline and Holy Priest Conduit powers on the World of Warcraft Shadowlands Beta. In the beta's newly released build, we were able to take a first look at the Soulbind Conduits, a system incredibly similar to the Legion relics you were able to slot into your artifact weapon, with ability improvements for your class and of course your spec. I had covered the Shadow Priest Conduits yesterday in detail, and be sure to check those out if you haven't already, with the link popping up on your screen now. In this video, we will be focusing on both Discipline and Holy, seeing as both share many of their conduits while having some unique ones as well. Now keep in mind that everything you are about to see is still in development, meaning it is subject to change. I do expect some of these conduit powers to be slightly changed again, so please again just keep that in mind. Now if you would like to join the discussion, be sure to head over to Discord with the link in the description below, where we talk about everything World of Warcraft related, and if you enjoy this video, please don't forget to leave a like at the end. Okay, so with that being said, and without any further ado, let's go right ahead and have a look. Okay, so again, this video will be covering all Holy and Discipline Priest relevant conduits. This narrows down the list for us a little, but still leaves quite a few up for discussion. I will split the conduits again into 3 tiers: Potency Conduits, Finesse Conduits, and Endurance Conduits. All 3 of these will be given options in the game once it releases, with Potency Conduits being damage oriented, Finesse Conduits being utility, CC and movement speed oriented, and Endurance Conduits being health and survivability oriented. Good. Starting us off accordingly will be the Potency Conduits. Blessing of Plenty allows Fey Blessings, our Night Fey Covenant ability, to affect 2 additional spells, and enhances the casts of Power Word Shield and Shadow Mend to have a 15% chance to reduce Fey Blessings cooldown by 5 seconds. Courageous Ascension lets our Rescended Blast deal an additional 20% damage, and Ascended Eruption deals an additional 1% damage per stack of Boon of the Ascended, part of our Kyrian Covenant ability set. Exaltation, a Discipline Priest specific conduit, allows Rapture's duration to be increased by 2 seconds, while also enhancing its Power Word shields by 10%. Now if you've watched my previous Disc Priest Issues video from the Shadowlands Alpha, you know that this conduit is somewhat of a fix to one of the disc's major issues. Though we will still have the problem of Rapture being on the global cooldown, these 2 extra seconds will allow for another Power Word shield cast during our Rapture, which at least somewhat helps to counter the missing shield, as we have to wait for Rapture's global cooldown to actually finish off. Festering Transfusion increases the duration of Unholy Transfusion, our Necrolord's Covenant ability, by 5 seconds and deals 10% more damage and healing. Focused Mending, a Holy Priest specific conduit power, lets the target first hit by your Prayer of Mending be healed for an additional 15%. This is an interesting conduit, as it gives Prayer of Mending somewhat of a new gameplay aspect, as we will want to try to min-max its use with the conduit by applying it to accordingly injured allies at all times. Lasting Spirit, once more a Holy Priest focused conduit, increases the duration of Guardian Spirit by 5 seconds and also increases the healing which the target receives by an additional 10%. This will be a very neat conduit power when paired with Guardian Angel, our 1-minute Guardian Spirit cooldown talent. Now, Pain Transformation is for the Discipline Priest and lets Pain Suppression also heal the target for 10% of their maximum health, which is honestly quite a lot. Due to Pain Suppression's high cooldown, however, this conduit power will have a rather difficult time competing with some of the other options. Resonant Words is another Holy Priest conduit power, but there's a problem here. Either this conduit has not really been implemented yet and is just a placeholder, or there's an actual in-game mistake here. Resonant Words currently has the exact same effect as Lasting Spirit, increasing Guardian Spirit duration by 5 seconds and its healing received by an additional 10 seconds, or rather 10%. Now, the name Resonant Words does not suggest the conduit have anything to do with Guardian Spirit, however, and I believe that this conduit will buff our Holy Words, if anything, and perhaps leaving a heart on our target after casting Holy Words, something like that. We'll have to wait and see. I'll be sure, of course, to keep you updated. Okay, so all in all, some very interesting conduits here, especially so Focused Mending for the Holy Priest and Exaltation for the Disc. Once more though, similar to the Shadow Priest, the Covenant ability conduits seem to be stronger than the spec-specific conduits. Whether or not this will force us towards a certain Covenant once we're in the expansion, that remains to be seen. Both Holy and Discipline feel like two strong healing specs currently, so these conduits have a bit more wiggle room, as the spec plays fine, or rather both specs play fine and healthy, especially without them. That is in comparison with the greater scheme of things, of course. Okay, so far so good. Let's move on to our Finesse conduits. Here we start off with Mental Recovery. After Psychic Scream ends, the movement speed of affected targets is reduced by 40% for 5 seconds. Move with Grace allows our Levitate to also grant 20% increased movement speed to all affected targets. Lastly here, we have Power onto Others, which lets the cooldown of Power Infusion be reduced by 5 seconds when cast on an ally. Also very interesting conduit powers, with some feeling a bit weak to be honest, like Power onto Others, as 5 seconds of power, or rather off of Power Infusion, doesn't really feel like much, especially given the circumstance that we will most likely have to use it on other players anyway, due to them most likely obtaining a higher benefit out of it than we will. We won't really have much use of Mental Recovery outside of Mythic Plus when it comes to PvE content at least, but this should still be a nice Finesse conduit to use in order to support our group. Move with Grace sounds very good as well, as that 20% increased movement speed from a Levitate cast can certainly be helpful. It does beg the question though, whether or not those 20% increased movement speed are worth the global cooldown. But then again, we will probably only use it in between pulls, as the Levitate gets cancelled after being attacked anyway. Okay, moving on. Now let's take a look at the Endurance conduits. Starting us off here, we have Clear Mind. Dispel Magic, Purify, and Mass Dispel cost 20% less mana. This is a great endurance conduit for both Discipline Priest and Holy Priest, as both will certainly be using their dispels quite a lot, even more so in Mythic Plus, and having them cost a considerably less amount of mana is honestly quite nice. Keep in mind that less mana spent on the dispels also means that you'll have more mana to potentially funnel into your healing throughput. Light's Inspiration lets our Desperate Prayer heal us for an additional 10% of our maximum health over 5 seconds, essentially giving Desperate Prayer a hot. This is a nice to have thing, or rather a nice to have option on our emergency button, and gives Desperate Prayer a little bit of an afterburn, which is quite nice. Lastly here, we have Translucent Image. For the first 2 seconds of Fade, we take 5% less damage. This is an okay endurance conduit in comparison to the others, but still nice to have at the end of the day. All in all, we're able to see here that endurance conduits are very minor in comparison, but still very nice to have equipped. If anything, we'd most likely want to use Clear Mind here, but both Light's Inspiration and Translucent Image are acceptable second choices. Alright. That will cover the first look at all usable conduits for the Holy Priest and the Discipline Priest. All in all, I'm liking the idea in which these conduits lead us, but I'm a little bit worried, as stated previously and in the Shadow Priest video yesterday, for those of you who've already watched that. Some of these conduits don't seem as if they'll be having a major impact when concerning our gameplay, which, well, is a good thing in the case of the Holy and the Disc, because it shows that the specs work without any external powers. It's kind of a bad thing as well though, because it doesn't feel as if it opens up any new and interesting gameplay paths to us. This may also mean that Covenant-specific conduits are strongest as they synergize so well with the Covenant ability, which may result in having to pick that specific Covenant in order to maximize our healing throughput and overall efficiency. Both Discipline and Holy conduits seem to be very cooldown focused, which also limits their ability to be used to mostly only in important situations or only once every 3 minutes. Let me know what you think in the comments below. How do these conduits sound to you? Do you see some of them here which seem promising? Why or why not? I'd be excited to know what you have to say, and thank you everyone for watching. If you wish to stay updated on the content of this channel, then feel free to subscribe, and if this video was helpful for you, please leave a like. A special thanks to my supporters over at Patreon, you guys help out a lot, and thank you everyone for your support. Now, as always, have a good one my friends, get excited for Shadowlands, enjoy the beta if you have already received an invite, and I will see you all in the next one.